few of you guys wanted to check this out, so we are here live at the third, I believe it's either the third or the fourth annual Ottawa Pinball and Gameroom show. This show, I've been coming to it every year. They actually had to cancel it last year because they had a problem with their venue, but they're back this year at the Nepean Sportsplex, which if you're from Ottawa, you absolutely know what that is. We actually bought, I'm actually here with CabMac this morning, and how do you switch this? Oh, there it is. There she is. So I'm actually here with CabMac this morning, and we actually bought VIP passes to this, which is the first year that they're doing it. So we're here, we got early access as a result of that. So we're here with a couple of friends of ours, and usually I do a tour of this for my YouTube channel every year, which I'll probably still do. But you guys wanted to, I had a bunch of people who said that they really wanted to check this out and see what all was here this year. So I'm going to show you guys around and just sort of let you see what's what. So let me know, if you're in the chat, just let me know how the stream quality looks. I'm doing this on mobile data because the Wi-Fi here is spotty, to put it mildly. So, yeah, but we're going to see what this is. Apparently this app does FTL, so I should be able to interact with people pretty quick. So anyway, let's switch this around here. So there we are, yeah. So as you can see here, we've got a... This is pretty amazing. So this venue that we're in this year is, I would say it's about the same size as the last one they did, which was actually at Makerspace North in Mechanicsville. So this is in Hall A and B at the Nepean Sportsplex right now. This is a very familiar spot, and it's, yeah, there is a ton of stuff here. So the way this show works is it's quite simple. You pay to get in for the day, and you get free access to everything. Everything in here is on free play. You know, there's gentleman's agreement rules. If it is, you know, if someone's queued up behind you at a machine, you don't stand there. You let them actually use it. But yeah, one of the cool things is, because we got VIP access, is we get in early. So as you can see, it's pretty empty in here right now because there aren't a ton of people here. We also got entered into a draw to win a pinball machine, which I don't know how I'd fit a pinball machine in my condo, but I will find a way. I can guarantee you that. So yeah, it's there is a massive selection of stuff here. It's pretty amazing. There's a ton of games here from that I remember from my youth. There are some that go back well before then. There's a lot more arcade games here than there usually are. There's typically a couple of cabinets here, but usually not too much. There's quite a bit more this year. So that's my friends Jay and Lee's down there who are playing that thing. But yeah, we're basically I'm going to be pretty much living here this weekend. This is an event I super look forward to every year. Pinball, given my love of mechanics-focused games and score attack, pinball is basically like two of my biggest jams rolled into one. Yeah, I love pinball to death. So just one thing as well, we got a couple of people in here now, which is pretty awesome. I don't know how chat works on Create. Could somebody just type like something into chat if you're watching right now? I just want to see how what happens if it pops it up on my display or something. I have no idea how it actually works. So feel free to do that. But yeah, so I'm going to take you guys around here and sort of show you what we've got. It's a pretty amazing, like I said, it's a pretty amazing venue, this place. So you can see here, so they really run the gamut here, and what's interesting is they tend to mix stuff up. So some rows in here have machines sort of from the same decade, but others don't necessarily. It's so CabMac's playing here right now, actually, some machines. These are from the early age of pinball. So she's playing here. This is Bally's Dixieland. These are machines that were actually full-on mechanical. They basically weren't computerized. So these are almost, they have like very basic integrated circuits in them. Actually, I think they even predate integrated circuits. So these guys are super rudimentary technology-wise. They're also kind of a bugger. They're
Some spy balls.
I got to remember to watch my language. I'm on family friendly mode here, so.
Really?
But yeah, these are actually. They have very big gutters, as you can see. It's very easy to ball out in these. They're kind of mean. They're Dark Soulsian, if you will.
So you get 5 balls.
So, but as you can see here, so this is another oldie. Like, look at this. Look at this artwork in this turquoise paint. If this is not a symbol of the decade from which it came, it's something else. But yeah, these are some really amazing ones. But yeah, they run the decades here, so they have stuff from, this is from the. Oh, nice. Look at that score. This is back when they didn't count pinball scores in the millions. It was in the hundreds. Scoring systems did get a little crazy as things went on later. But yeah, they got stuff here from the 50s and 60s all the way up to modern day. There are actually 2 companies that still make pinball machines to this day. Stern and Jersey Jack actually still make brand new machines. And some of them are actually really good. They're a little crazy, but they're really, really good. They usually have those here. I actually haven't looked yet, so we'll see. Do me a favor. Would you mind pulling up my channel on Mixer and just see if this is broadcasting and you can hear me and stuff? I keep seeing my chat number go up and down. I'm not sure if people are like coming in and can't hear me or anything. And if you could you just like drop a message in chat? I just want to see what it does.
It puts chat on the screen.
It does? Okay. I've never seen it do it, so I just want to make sure it's working. So this is a real old one here. So this is a pool-themed pinball machine, which is kind of amusing. This guy's a little used, but still in pretty. It's pretty neat when you look at this. And yeah, like look at what the score can go up to a maximum of 9,999, which is just friggin' unbelievable.
I don't know where to start it though.
To start it,
Just reset it.
it's probably that. That's usually the one-player start. Maybe not. Actually, not sure how to fire this one up. I'm not sure either. So I'm going to highlight here some of the tables that I really remember from my youth. Oh yeah, there it is. Thank you, Cab Mac. So this is one of the tables that I really remember from my youth here. This is Taxi. So interestingly enough, a lot of these tables that I'm going to highlight here, you can actually play in a few different collections. So you can actually, there's a collection called the Pinball Arcade, which is available on GOD. PC, basically every console, like Android, iOS. I think they still make it for the Ouya even. And it's a collection by a company in the States that is actually super accurate reproductions of actual real pinball tables. The collection can get a little expensive sometimes because a lot of the tables have licenses that they have to pay a lot of money for. But a lot of the tables that I really like are in that collection, and they are painstakingly well acted. Hey, J. Cole, how's it going, my man? Let me know how this is coming through for you, buddy. I'm doing this on mobile data, so let me know. Really well? Oh, good. I'm doing this from my OnePlus 3T on mobile, so I wasn't sure how well it was going to work. So, oh, she got the racquetball working. How'd you do it? Oh, it's that guy. Oh.
It's manual.
Yes, this is so this machine, this is one of the machines I was telling you about. J. Cole says hi. So this is one of the machines I was telling you guys about earlier. This machine is fully mechanical. It's electronic, but there are no integrated circuits in it. It's not a computerized table. It is 100% mechanical. So like you manually load the ball, it's bells, and the score is manually incrementing. Oh, J. Cole, we've only just begun. I've only shown you about 5% of what's in here. It's incredible. This is really awesome.
You should try on Wi-Fi. Yeah.
But yeah, so a lot of these really good tables are actually available in the Pinball Arcade, which is a really, really fantastic collection. It's expensive, but if you want actual pinball tables recreated in an exquisite way by people who are to call them enthusiasts would be a massive understatement. Yeah, the Pinball Arcade is really good. I've spent way too much money on that collection on the PC. But some of my favorite tables are emulated in there. And I'm going to show you guys a little bit later on a pinball table that I almost bought a couple of years ago. I really had to force myself to not buy it. But it's a pinball table that a lot of people don't necessarily know. It's a more obscure one from the early 90s. But it's one of my favorite ones. And it's here again this year. I don't have the money, and now I live in a small condo. I do not have the space. I could make it work, but I'm going to be good. I'm going to be good. But I'm not going to do it. So yeah, here we are. So what we're getting into here is now, so they do have some arcade games here. So in the past, there's usually been like 1 or 2 cabinets, but usually nothing too much. They've really expanded it out this year. And they also have one of my favorite arcade games here that I can't wait to play later on that I'm going to show you. So this is an interesting, looks like a modified, oh, this looks like a multi-arcade system. So of course as well, the way this works, so we bought VIP passes, so we're actually in the early mode right now, like a lot of people aren't here yet. But the way this show works is it's $20 a day, and you come in, you can stay as long as you want, and everything is free play. So you don't need any quarters, any tokens, nothing. So yeah, this is the one here. I'm curious if you know this one, J. Cole. This is an arcade game I love to death. There has been no accurate reproduction of this on home consoles. There was an NES version of this, but the home reproductions of Road Blasters do not hold a candle to the arcade game. I can't. It's hard to play stuff right now, J. Cole. I'm holding the coffee in one hand and my phone in the other, so it's a little tricky. But no, well, maybe this got a SNES port. I played the NES version of this by Mindscape, which was not. It was not an ideal reproduction, not at all. But yeah, this game, and I actually did a retro flashback of this on my YouTube. Damn right. I did a retro flashback of this on my YouTube channel a while back through an emulator, but this is fun to play in emulation because that's how you control it, and that does not map to a controller very well. To start it, there should be a, hold up, CabMac's going to give this a try. It might just, nope.
No?
Usually you credit up by pressing, yeah, that's funny. This game had a t-shirt giveaway back when it was in arcade. I have a feeling that would not work so well today. You might also just press.
I did. Oh.
Nope. You don't have you haven't credited up, but I'm not sure how you do that. T-shirt giveaway. I bet that's totally still legit.
These are coins. You continue. Tim, where are you?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'll have to check that later. But so this is a Galaga cabinet, but again, this is a multi-game thing because, as you can tell, that is most certainly not Galaga. So yeah, I'm pretty sure these are all. Multi-cabs, which is cool. Oh, this is Congo Bongo. Oh, nice. So we got Marvel Superheroes here. This cabinet is in exquisite condition. You can see the shine on it there. So I'm sure these CRTs aren't coming through very well on the stream because the frame rate is going to be way off from what my phone is, and also the focus is losing its mind. But yeah, so this is Marvel Superheroes, which is recycle it, don't trash it. Yeah, so this is an older Capcom fighting game. Yeah, so all of these, everything here today is actually from either private collectors, or there is an organization called Ottawa Pinball that actually does location placement. So actually there's a thing here, you can see it down here actually. So House of Targ is actually a big venue in Ottawa. They're a concert venue / bar down on Bank Street in the Glebe, and they actually have, this Tempest machine is out of service unfortunately. They actually have a massive pinball collection there that's maintained by Ottawa Pinball. So they, So they are a big sponsor of this. So a lot of the stuff here comes from that place. There's also a lot of private collectors who contribute to this. So this is a single cartridge Neo Geo machine that's running, as you can see. Well, this says Samurai Showdown, but I saw Metal Slug 4 came up here.
It's been going since 2011.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Yeah, so this is Metal Slug 4, which, was after SNK went bankrupt. So as you can see, it's developed by Mega and published by Playmore, which actually rebranded as SNK again recently when they were bought by a Chinese company. So we've got that. You can also see here we've got Konami's Track and Field. This is another arcade classic. Though this is a game that will friggin' destroy your hand real quick. So, yeah, it's too bad that the Neo Geo here isn't a multi-cart. That would actually be really rad, but oh well. So yeah, a couple of these arcade machines aren't working right now. This Dig Dug isn't here. They might just not be powered up yet. Yeah, Track and Field was a game you either liked or you despised. It was not my favorite thing either. So we've got a Tekken 3 up in here. So this is kind of like PS2 era, I believe. I was never a big Tekken guy, so you can see here, obviously, the control panel is a reproduction because it has that. That's not a sticker, that's actually printed into the thing. So that's a reproduction control panel layout. Now this I'm not familiar with. This is interesting. This is called Aliens Extermination, developed by Play Mechanics and Global VR, which is interesting. I think it said 2006. So I find this rather interesting. I've never heard of this. But yeah, what's the date on it? Yeah, 2006. So that's interesting. Yeah, this definitely predates Isolation by a number of years, but it's a gun game. So it's a shooting gallery, which looks kind of cool. This kind of looks like, these graphics kind of look like Xbox hardware, like OG Xbox hardware. That's cool. Yeah, so, it's kind of, it's like an Area 51 or something like that. This actually looks more like Dreamcast hardware, frankly. So yeah, it's like the old T2 arcade game. It's literally just it's literally a shooting gallery, which, you know what, I like those. So, this is a sit-down off-road challenge cab that's not powered up right now. It's actually unplugged, so I think it just hasn't been set up yet, so we'll see. We've got a pretty weathered Smash TV machine here, but you know what? Smash TV is rad. Oh, that refresh rate. Filming CRTs, folks. It was always a good time. By which I mean not at all. Call to order your authentic Smash TV t-shirt. I really wonder what that number does now. That would be amusing. And there's a KI machine here that's actually in pretty good shape. The screen's a little faded. Unfortunately, nobody makes CRTs anymore. And they're so expensive to produce that getting them in the aftermarket is kind of not doable. So unfortunately, a lot of cabinets that use CRTs, especially fighting games really require CRTs because of the lag difference. If you were to put an LCD panel in this cabinet, it would probably screw up the timing of it. So that's unfortunately, a lot of these screens, as they start to go, kind of stay that way. Because it's very hard to find replacements for them. And yeah, like I said, because they're so expensive to produce, they're not the things that you can really produce on a small scale. So it'd be very hard for like some little startup company to come out and serve that niche, which is kind of a bummer. This is Roadburner's Leader, which I've never heard of. It looks like a late Atari arcade thing. So Atari Games was different from Atari, the company that made like the 2600 and stuff like that. They actually got acquired by Midway, and they were Midway's arcade division for a long time. Midway, of course, is long since defunct now as well. I've never heard of this. It looks like a car combat thing. I don't see a copyright on it, so I don't know. Oh, there it is. 1998. Oh, that's not focusing right. 1998. Wow, this is real late Atari. I'm hoping that gets fired up later. That would be pretty cool. So here's actually a working Dig Dug, which is pretty rad. Really good condition. The screen's a little fuzzy, but it's not bad. This control panel is friggin' mint. Oh yeah, you got your pump buttons. I'll have to play this later. This is really gorgeous. This is a very nice machine. So we got a couple, so this is another row over here. This is a machine that's actually really good, the Who's Tommy by Data East, for the very brief period of time that Data East made pinball tables. Before they sold it off to Sega, who also didn't do it for very long. Oh, this is amusing. Pinhead Amusements. We have a multi-arcade cabinet at my work that actually doesn't work at the moment, and it came from these guys. So it's interesting they're still around. We weren't sure if they were still in business anymore. But as you can see, so this table's been updated a little bit. So I mean, well, it's a newer table, obviously, because as you can see, it has a dot matrix display. But also, what a lot of people who own pinball tables are doing these days is they're updating them with LED bulbs as opposed to incandescent bulbs. One, because incandescent bulbs are getting hard to find now, but also LED bulbs, and you can probably see it even on the camera here, they have a much greater intensity. So as you can see, they're much brighter and they really pop a lot more. But as you can see also, this was a modern table because it cost $1 a credit at its time. Oh no, wait, it doesn't. Oh, so there's a 25 cents, $1, and a $2. So I don't know if that's just extra credits or what that is. I'm not sure. But that's pretty neat. So CapMac is at this machine right now. So this is a Star Wars pinball machine. Again, Data East. Data East also made one of my favorite ever pinball machines, which is actually Star Trek Next Generation pinball, which you can get on the Pinball Arcade. Star Trek Next Gen is an exquisite machine. I love it to death. Fun story I probably told in a previous tour video on my YouTube channel. My buddy Jay, who's here with us today, a number of years ago, we used to do volunteer backstage work for a musical theater company. So, you know, like stage work, set building, lighting, stuff like that. And we were actually doing, oddly enough, we were helping set up a production of the Who's Tommy. And the rehearsal space was actually the warehouse for a major arcade supplier in Ottawa. They don't have that warehouse anymore. There's a couple of burned out rows on this panel, unfortunately. And he actually had a warehouse for his arcade business, and it had a bunch of pinball machines in it that were set up. And they were in various states of repair, but he said, oh yeah, if you guys are bored, you can just go play them. And we were like, okay. And then one day we were playing Star Trek Next Gen, and we noticed the guard. So basically this thing here, which is what holds the glass in, was out. And we were like, we moved it a little bit and we were like, hey, the glass comes off. And so we took this whole glass panel off and we basically uber cheated, which is we were literally reaching in and grabbing the ball and throwing it into the high value targets. Which is a lot of fun because sometimes these like bumper targets here, when you bump them with your hand, it hurts like a mofo, as it turns out. But we did that for like 3 hours, and we did the equivalent of like beating the game's story like 7 times in a row. We got like 9 billion points. It was friggin' hilarious. And I kind of just want to buy one of those machines just to play with the glass in it. Because oh my god, that was so much fun. So this is interesting. This is one I didn't know existed. So this is a table based on Maverick, which was I almost said Mel Brooks. It was not a Mel Brooks movie. It was a Richard Donner movie, but it's friggin' Mel Gibson. That doesn't look... Actually, you know what? Now looking at this, having seen Maverick several times, they must not have had the likeness rights, because none of these look like the actual people. They're just different enough that they don't look like the actual people. But this is they totally made a pinball machine based on Maverick the movie. I don't actually know who made this. I don't see a logo on it. It says Warner Brothers, but Warner Brothers is who put out the movie. Warner Brothers never made pinball machines. I actually have no idea who made this. There's no logo on it. Huh. I'll have to go to the pinball database website and look that up. That's very interesting. That's really creepy. It looks like them, but it is not. They're not photo reproductions of the actors, which means they probably didn't have likeness rights. So that's kind of interesting. I have no idea who made this. I'll have to look this machine up later. So you can see here as well, we've also got, so this is another older machine. This is Big Game. So this one needs some what's called playfield work. So the playfield is this surface here that all the lights are in, that it's all this images. So this is what the ball runs over. So as you can see, over time, it really wears. That's normal. Pinball machines, folks, wicked high maintenance. It takes a lot of work to maintain one of these, a lot of work to keep it up and running, and it's tricky sometimes. And the thing is too, especially for machines that aren't as crazy popular, it's actually hard to find parts for them sometimes. You either can't find them, or you have to attempt to get either reproductions, or in some cases even reproduce your own, and that can prove to be really, really difficult sometimes. So some machines just have super worn parts, and that's kind of the way it is. Because you have to remember, like, the thing with pinball machines is they are... One of the things I also love about pinball machines is they are some of the most incredible engineering marvels you've ever seen. Like, if you were to open one of these things up, you would be amazed at the rat's nest of wires and solenoids and other electronic components under here. So this is interesting. So one of my favorite pinball tables of all time is the original Pinbot. And there was a sequel to it called Bride of Pinbot. And this is actually, I believe, the third game, which is called Jackbot, which is a weird, like, it's Pinbot, but it's also, like, the theme of it is that you're playing it in, like, a casino. Like, it's not actually a gambling game, but it's, like, the idea is that you're playing, like, Pinbot's Casino. It's really strange. It's still good. One of the cool things about Pinbot was that it had this thing here, which is this sort of visor thing that when you trigger certain feats, this opens up and you can sort of hide balls in it. And that's how you trigger multi-ball. So as you can see here, and this also scores really, really high. But this one has been updated with LED lights. This may have come with LEDs originally, I'm not sure. What is this? 1995. So possibly it had LEDs in it at the time. But I actually really like the guys. Some people say, oh, LEDs are not authentic, but I much prefer it. I really like how much brighter the colors are and how much more they pop. So that's pretty cool. So actually, we've got the original Pinbot over here. So yeah, this is probably in my top 5 favorite pinballs. This one's also in pretty good shape, actually, and this looks like it's had at least some LEDs put in it. But yeah, this machine is absolutely gorgeous. So yeah, what would happen is when you fill out this grid, this visor would lift up, and then you can lock 2 balls in there, and that will trigger multi-ball mode. So this is an absolutely fantastic machine. I'll be putting some time into this today. No. This is just a machine over here called Fire, which I've never played before. This is pretty neat. Similar era. So as you can see, some of these had really interesting themes. Like, some of these were just based on licenses, but other ones were based on, like, just weird concepts. Like, that's an old thing, like, hey, you're the fire brigade in what looks like the 1800s. There's Cat-Mac. She is decidedly not a pinball machine.
What?
I said you were decidedly not a pinball machine.
No, I'm not.
But yeah, like, just a weird, like, what a weird concept, right? Like, it's not a license, it's not anything. It's just, hey, you're a fireman in the 1800s, and like you ride horses to fight fires. Like, what a weird thing to base pinball around, right? But people did it, and that's one of the things I loved about it. Is it actually took a lot of creative risk. and just explored some really crazy ideas, because you can turn almost any concept into pinball if you really want to, right? So this guy here is a classic. This is Williams Black Knight. This is one, if you ask people who only know some eras of pinball, they probably know this very well. Black Knight is fantastic. So I should say as well, Jackbot, Pinbot, and this are also games that are available in the Pinball Arcade. You're going to hear me cite that title a lot. I assure you I am not sponsored, though if wishing made it so. I am not sponsored by the Pinball Arcade. I'm just a fan of their work. I think the guys at Farsight do some incredible work. Hey, Word, how's it going, bud? You're not super late. We've been at this for a little bit. There'll be a VoD of this too, don't worry. But yeah, so I've sort of toured around these guys so far. We're not even halfway through yet. So yeah, we're coming back up this row here. So yeah, Black Knight is maybe not as complicated as some other pinball tables, but it's considered a classic, and it plays absolutely divine. I really, really love this. Great table. And yeah, so we've got another one here. This is a slightly older one too. This is Bally's Flash Gordon. So back in the day, you had a few different people who made pinball machines. You had Bally, you had Williams, you had Stern, you had Gottlieb for a while. Sega and Data East both made pinball machines at one point in time. Now we're down to two companies. Now Stern still exists. Stern makes modern machines based mostly on licenses, and we have Jersey Jack. I'm not the biggest fan of Jersey Jack machines because they go a little too heavy on the multimedia. We'll see if they have those machines here. They have in the past, so we'll see. And this I wanted to show you guys. So CabMac is playing this right now. This is the machine I almost bought a couple of years ago. This is Williams Roller Games from, I believe it's 1993? No, 1990, sorry about that. And also it was sponsored, as you can see, by the World Alliance of Roller Sports, which is a thing that actually exists apparently. This is a pinball machine that no one, it was popular, but it was not like a mega hit. It's not generally remembered very well by most people. And it's kind of weird because it's actually full of a bunch of real brands, as you can see, because this was sponsored by an actual professional association. Like, check this out. Remember that? Yeah, seriously. And also Thermos, because why not? Also Old Pepsi. But yeah, this is one of my favorite machines ever. I spent a lot of time on this as a kid. This was at my local arcade growing up. This machine is beautiful. The guy who owns this has done incredible restoration work. Everything's been upgraded to LED bulbs. The playfield looks brand new. The back glass looks brand new. All the lights are good. It's shiny. Like, it's not, the metal's not scratched. Like, look at this. Like, the side art is perfect. And at least a couple of years ago, when this was last at Makerspace, this was for sale, and I almost bought it, even though I couldn't afford it, because I friggin' love this machine. And honest to God, if I had the money, I would find a way to make this fit into my 900 square foot condo. This is a game that is not presently in the Pinball Arcade, and Farsight, get on that. I will pay for one of your overpriced table packs if you guys get me this in Pinball Arcade, like, for reals. But yeah, I'm gonna be playing a lot of this weekend. I am positively in love with this machine. It's so good. This is, if not my number one pinball table, it's 2 or 3. And actually, of my top 5, almost all of them, with the exception of one, basically all of them are Williams machines. I'm hoping I can show you guys some of the other ones. We'll see. I'm not sure. So this is one that I believe is in the Pinball Arcade as well. This is High Speed, which is literally a game about outrunning the cops, and it's got these wicked traffic light things on it. At the last time I saw this machine in action, these lights didn't work properly. So it's really sweet to see it's been upgraded. Also, when you get to a certain point, these come on. It's really excellent. Again, LED bulbs, playfield is immaculate. The metal's a little banged up, but sometimes it's nice to have a little bit of that too, right? It kind of shows it's seen some action over the years. Side art is nice. I mean, you can tell by these font choices and things like that, this is very much of its era. Also, I'm pretty sure that's a Repro Countach up there. So 80s to put it mildly, but yeah, it's really something. And yeah, like we're barely 50% through this. Like, look at this. I'm gonna start playing stuff at some point, but yeah, this is still incredible. I love showing this stuff off, so because this pinball is something that most people need to have in their lives. So you can see anything that's for sale is marked as such. Yeah, Pinball Effects I've been hot and cold on. I enjoy that game, but the physics are all wrong. They don't play like proper pinball machines. I currently have 3 table packs from the Pinball Arcade that I don't own yet, but they're like $60 a pop in Canada. So, and that's because that's not really Farsight's fault. They're expensive because they have to pay license fees for all these tables. It's for enthusiasts only, needless to say. And the thing that I hate is you have to rebuy it on every platform. So the fact that I own a pile of table packs on PC means they don't move to Android. So if I want to play them on my phone, I have to buy them again. Which is kind of a bummer, but you know, it is what it is. So these are a couple of older machines here as well. This is Dragon by Interflip. This is a European machine, so this is really cool as well. So check this out. So Interflip, this is a company from Spain actually. Oh no, Zen Pinball and Pinball Effects are good. They're just not. They don't play like real pinball. The balls are super light. The physics are a little weird. I like them. It's fantasy pinball though, so that's okay. So yeah, there's actually also a pinball collection on Steam right now called Zaccaria Pinball, which is very interesting. Zaccaria is actually a Italian manufacturer of pinball machines that had a lot of really weird and different machines that you never saw in North America. I recommend checking that out. It's actually free. It has a handful of tables in it that are free, and then you have to buy the additional ones, but there's a couple in it that are free from the get-go. It's very cool. I haven't purchased it yet. I will be at some point, though. So this is Tag Team Pinball from Premier, which was actually... Premier was the pinball label of Gottlieb, which is the company that used to make arcade games as well. They were bought, I think, by Williams, actually. I don't actually know this one. This is kind of interesting. This table I'm not actually familiar with, but again, the play field is immaculate. It's got LED bulbs in it. Super nice. I'm definitely going to give this guy a try later. Definitely looks like a more older school in the sense that it's got a very big gutter, both on the sides and on the bottom. Looks like this would be very easy to ball out. So that'll be interesting. This is one called Stars, which is an older Stern machine. This one's for sale as well. I actually shouldn't be showing people's phone numbers on screen, so I'm not going to do that. Old school as well, as you can see. But very nice. A little bit worn down here, as you can see. Stern Electronics, Chicago. So a lot of pinball was actually made, a lot of American pinball actually came out of Chicago. That's where Stern's based, because Stern, I believe, spun out of Williams. So Williams was there. Gottlieb might have been there too, actually. Yeah. Yeah, that's totally what I'm doing. So this, unfortunately, is not on right now, and this guy's really worn down, but this is Space Shuttle. This is in Pinball Arcade. This is another classic Williams gem. Gorgeous machine. As you can see, it's got an actual space shuttle in it. It's also got a really cool sort of synthy soundtrack thing. This guy is definitely really worn. The playfield is almost entirely worn away. This one definitely needs some love. I imagine you could get a repro for this one because this was a popular table. But it's got some really cool ideas in it. And as you can see here, the coin door is open on this one, so you can kind of see what this looked like here. There's not much on the inside of it. You can't really see in there until you get... The guts of them are really under this, so a lot of these machines, this top piece would like lift up, kind of like a car hood. And under there you have the crazy rat's nest of wires and all that other stuff. But you see, you put your coins in there, and then they would drop down into there, and there'd usually be a coin box in here. There isn't on this one, for the operator to get their fat profits. So this is another one CavMax playing. So this is a newer Stern table. So as you can see, this is from 2002 or 2012. So that would be post Disney acquisition actually of Marvel, I believe. And yeah, so this is an officially licensed X-Men one. So Stern Pinball still exists. As you can see, this is very modern.
There's a QR code on it.
CavMag just said there's a QR code on it, so you want to talk about product of its time. But yeah, so Stern still exists. Basically, every table they put out now is based on some kind of license. You know, a movie, a TV show, a concept, you know, some other kind of property. But they're really good. Like, that's the thing, right? Like, the difference with... This is a fundamental difference between pinball and video games, is that, you know, typically you hear about a game that comes out that's based on a license, you know, a children's toy, a movie, a TV show, or whatever. With few exceptions, you can generally be certain that the game is going to suck, because it will be thrown together as a cash grab, designed to appeal on the brand on its own, rather than it being a compelling experience. That was not the case with pinball. Because you can take almost any concept and turn it into a good pinball table if the designers are good. Because of the way pinball works, right? It's not held to the creative constrictions that it would be that a video game would be, because of the very nature of how this is played. So, licensed pinball tables. Some of the best pinball tables are licensed, actually. Which is the really clever thing, and that's what Stern does now. They have a tiny little niche, and that they thrive in, making pinball tables with other people's properties, but they make them, they're good tables. So, yeah, I think you can go to sternpinball.com and see what they're making. Every table they come out with is a limited run. They only make a few thousand of them, and you can just buy one. You can go to a dealer, of which we have a couple of them in Ottawa, and you can just buy a pinball table if you want. And I would if I wasn't living in a tiny place. So this is Flash, not the Flash, but just Flash, another older Williams machine. Like, they're works of art, these things. They really are. This is Bally's Hocus Pocus. Again, much older. Yeah, again, Bally Manufacturing, Chicago, Illinois. Chicago was a hotbed for pinball. I want to say that Sega Pinball, at least Sega Pinball America, was based in Chicago. I think Data East had a production facility there. Because that's the thing, right? These things were so big and so heavy at the time, and this was before everything was made in China, but a lot of stuff still were made in China. And there was no real way to, like, these things were mostly made in the US because they were so big and so heavy, it wasn't practical to make them overseas. So, yeah, like a lot of these things that were out of Chicago, that's where these things were actually built. And I think that's where Stern actually still builds their machines in the US. Because it just doesn't make sense to build something this big and heavy overseas and then have to ship it over on a boat. It's actually cheaper, especially since they're niche, to just do it over here. It's one of the few industries that's still, you know, largely made in the USA. This is another old guy here. And as I was saying sort of at the start of this, a lot of these older mechanical machines were kind of a lot meaner. So as you can see, it has really big gutters for the ball. Really big gutters. It's very easy to ball out in this. Long play on these is much more difficult than it is on slightly more modern systems. So look at this. You want to talk licenses? Official Mario Andretti pinball. Yep. So this is 90s era as well. 1995 actually. Premier Technology, which was the company that ended up buying Gottlieb later in life. This guy's in good shape too. It's been restored. LED lights, new play field. This stuff's a little weathered, and this is definitely faded, but it's very nice. I'll definitely have to check this guy out later too. So there's another older row of machines over here. So this is another really old school Stern system. Hot hands, so this is basically poker pinball. Pretty rad. There's also, now this is rather interesting. So this is Middle Earth, which I don't believe is actually based on Lord of the Rings. I think it's just called Middle Earth. Catmac's like, hey, can we buy a table? Yeah, if only. Now this is interesting. Check that out. 1977 by Atari. Indeed, Atari did for a very brief period make a handful of pinball machines. Not very many.
That one's for sale too.
Yeah, a lot of the older ones here are actually for sale. And yeah, this guy is very much for sale, as you can see. $1,500 is actually quite reasonable. Like, this is an older, less popular machine, but it's gorgeous. This is actually very reasonable for something that was as well restored as this. This is also interesting. So check this out. So almost every machine, right, has the scoring up on the back glass like that. This one's got it down here, which is really neat. I've never seen something like this before. That's pretty cool. Big playfield too. This is like wide compared to a lot of machines, as you can see. Like, if you look at this guy, that's sort of a normal width, and then look at this. You can see it's quite a bit more significant. This is Gottlieb's Counterforce, which kind of looks. Look at this art. This looks like a metal cover where somebody was told to make a metal cover and then just never stopped. Like, look at how complex this art is. It's crazy. This guy's for sale too for $1,500. But yeah, gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. Now here's a wacky one. Check this out. So this is Midway's Flash Baseball. So as you can see, the scoring in this actually works like actual baseball. And check this out. It's barely pinball. It's basically a baseball game. Like, check it. It's got a little metal bat down here. Press to pitch ball, press to bat ball. I think Cadmac's going to give this a try. I presume it spits the balls out from there, and then your job is to... Yep, that's totally what it is. This is possibly one of the weirdest things I've ever seen. What is the date on this? This has got to be from the 60s.
Oh, it barely works.
Yeah, the bat... So this is mechanical. Like, that bat is actually rusty. Like, which is crazy. Yeah, unfortunately the mechanics... So that's the pitch button. So it looks like the mechanics of this are not in the greatest shape, unfortunately. Yeah, it's not actually working super well, but what a weird concept, right? Like, how strange a thing is this? Yeah, I definitely need some work done to it, unfortunately, but... So there we go, she got one up there. So here, let me zoom this out a little bit. So basically what it does is it pitches the balls out of that blue chute in the bottom, and then you whack it up, and then... You see, depending on where you hit it, it shows... You know what this is? It's kind of like skee ball. You're basically hitting the thing, you're pitching it, and then where you land it determines how good your players do. What a weird friggin' thing. I've never seen this before. This must be a preseason baseball game. Look at the 44. 44 runs. Like, what a weird thing, right? So strange.
That's probably it. There you go.
What a weird idea. Yeah, so this is another older Gottlieb one. This is High Dolly. Again, product of its time. Very much. This is probably from the 60s, I'm guessing. These older ones don't actually have dates on them, so it's hard to tell when they are. You can actually, if anybody's curious about any of these, there's a site called the International Pinball Database that actually has pretty much everything you could think of in it. You can kind of look it up like you would IMDb. Gottlieb's Jungle Queen is another old school one here. That's what you see. Going.
Good. one of the cleanest jungle clean playfields I've ever seen.
Yeah, it really is. This guy is good. Some of the restored ones that I've seen here are just gorgeous. Like, man.
We didn't really do anything but polish it. That was it. Just give it a wax and away it went.
Really, eh?
Yeah.
Wow.
So you gotta wonder where it's been for 40 years because it didn't get beat up.
I know, right? Yeah. And as you can see here, yeah, another Chicago company, and check that out. D. Gottlieb, a Columbia Pictures Industries company. Indeed. At one point in time, Columbia Pictures this is before Sony bought Columbia Pictures in the 90s. At one point in time, Columbia Pictures actually was in the video game business. When Q*bert was made, actually, to this day, as I understand it, the copyright for Q*bert is owned by Columbia Pictures. And yeah, for a while they owned Gottlieb before they either sold them or they were spun off. I'm not sure. So this is interesting as well. So this is a little bit of a break from the machines. So this is of course an enthusiast gathering. So they also have a whole bunch of stuff here if you are someone who owns your own pinball machine and is looking for either spare parts or things to do project level stuff with. So they have vendors here who sell a whole bunch of the sort of ins and outs of these machines. So there's coin doors, that's a score panel there. They actually sell some of the metal covering, so this is actually similar to what was on that machine that we looked at before, the Jungle Queen machine. But all sorts of odds and ends, bolts, weird electronics, plugs, solenoids. Like, look at this. Just big old buckets of solenoids. The Church of the Silver Ball Hands-On Pinball Museum. Rent our retro game room for your next event. This is not in Ottawa, but interesting. I would love to hold an Extra Life event at something like that. So yeah, you can see just all kinds of little bits. Stern shaker motors, $140. Talk about specifics. Also, there's a bunch of DVDs here for some reason. I don't know why. These are also circuit boards. Now, I'm not sure if these are arcade boards or... No, these are circuit boards for machines itself, it looks like. So they're all as is for $10 a pop, so nothing's guaranteed to work or not. But yeah, look at these crazy wire harnesses. Also, let it be known that these gentlemen are the kings of cash boxes. That's what all these are. So remember I told you on the inside of where the slots were, there would be a box that your money would actually drop into? So that's what this is. Crazy stuff, right? Oh, check this out. So here's an arcade board for, this is for Rampage, the arcade game. $30. That's surprisingly reasonable. And it says working. So yeah, the inside of arcade games, this is what they often look like. They were full-on printed circuit board, and it was this connected to a harness, which is what hooked up the audio, the screen, the controls, everything. So there are various different things. So this is a Namco board. I don't know what this is. It's actually not labeled, but this is a Namco arcade board. Not sure what this guy is, but as you can see here, we have a play surface for another one of those older mechanical systems. Now, remember what I told you guys about how these things were wired? Look at this. And this is an older machine that pales in comparison, complexity-wise, to some of what you would see today. Like, modern machines are way more complicated underneath than this. But imagine, this is why people who restore pinball are a special breed. Like, what kind of a crazy guy do you have to be to dig into that, right? Like, holy jeez, I am in awe of these folks. So here's an interesting one. So here's Player One Amusement Group. So these are the new machines that we're coming into. So you see they distribute Stern, Jersey Jack, and I've actually never heard of the Chicago Gaming Company. That must be another new one on the scene. So this is going to be very different. So there's always a big crowd around these because these are brand new pinball machines. So here's one licensed on Star Wars, and well, you can see what I mean. This thing actually has a full-on screen in it that plays video. right? It's nuts. It's still, you know, there's still pinball. They still have the core concepts of pinball in them, but yeah, they go above and beyond when it comes to the modern technology that they're using. And as you can see here, so this is another. These modern tables are almost entirely licensed, as I said. So this is a Walking Dead machine based on the TV series, as you can see. And yeah, modern pinball, a little more expensive, just a little bit. So yeah, this is the Stern machine. But as you can see, they're using all modern technology. They've got modern screens in it. Like, these are incredibly bright compared to the old ones. Everything is LEDs. You know, they draw you in much, much more. You know, they're designed to really pull you in from afar. So yeah, so this one is, I'm actually not sure of the date on this one. Oh, there it is, 2014. So yeah, 2014 is when this guy was from. But yeah, a lot of these, yeah, well, exactly. So there are 3 companies that still make them. So Stern is an old school pinball company that has stayed around, filling a very small niche. Jersey Jack is a newer pinball company. I actually don't know if there are any Jersey Jack machines here or not, but they have crazy huge, like, you know, 32-inch TVs in them. And Chicago Gaming Company I'm not familiar with, but they must be very new. But it's interesting, right? Because they all have. Remember, like I said back in the day, that the majority of pinball was made in Chicago, and it still is, because that's where they all landed, right? Fascinating. So yeah, this is 2016. So this is a Ghostbusters from last year, except as you can see, it's the original one, not the one that we shall not speak of, for fear of being labeled hate mongers. Yeah, this is really cool. Again, all LED. So this is newer, but not brand new. So this is Starship Troopers, 1997, Sega pinball. So Sega was in the pinball business for a little while. So was Data East, actually, which actually sold their pinball business to Sega, who ran it for a few more years before Sega got out of the pinball game. So as you can see here, they still find ways to tie it in, right? Like, this is all, you know, legit stuff from the film. Triple flippers, so a lot of pinball tables had either additional flippers down here on the bottom, or a lot of them had secondary flippers up in areas like this that you could trigger as well. Oh, here you go. This is the one you guys want to see. Another Sega pinball. Yeah. Like I said, you can turn almost any brand into a pinball machine, folks. This one's like a friggin' dance club. Hell of a thing. So you see there's some other vendors over on this side. So yeah, Chicago Gaming Company. I've never heard of those guys, but this is, yeah, Player One Amusement Group. So they've got some back glass here. There's an absolutely gorgeous Pinbot back glass. So this is what you would put. So this is basically this thing, right? So this is what you would put in there as sort of your attract, right? This is. I would just love to put this up on my wall. This is absolutely beautiful. Beautiful. You know, reproduction stickers for cabinet art, things like that. Cleaning stuff.
All right, I'll let you get to it.
Yeah, interesting, like, you know, wax for the surfaces, because that's the thing, right? In order to keep the ball working correctly in your tables, you actually have to wax the play surface, right? Like, these things are super shiny, but that's not just for aesthetic value. That's to make sure that the ball has a minimal amount of friction, because they're ball bearings, right? So you need to make sure it has a bare minimum amount of friction so that you get the most play out of it. So that's what you would do with these. Also, you can see scratch remover, heavy scratch remover. Complete appliance cleaner, mill wax, pinball playfield wax and cleaner. There are people who make something called pinball wax that they put in bottles. I'm not kidding. So these are all replacement buttons. You could use these for $2.50 a pop. You could use these with actual arcade cabinets. You could use these for like the start buttons or the flipper buttons on the actual machine if you wanted to. But you can see some of these are new parts, right? Like, you know, if you look at this, this is sealed in the bag, right? It's all new. It's new stuff. They're still making stuff for these machines. Leg levers, leg boots. These would go on the bottom of your machine. Also, I might have to buy one of these shirts today. A little expensive, yes, but also I kind of want it. We'll see. So here we go, Area Site 4. This was the sequel to Area 51. It's another arcade game. They didn't have actual ESRB ratings on these. They just put their own stickers on them. Gotta love that strong violence. Oh yeah. So violent. All that, you know, green blood. Atari Games Corp. and Mesa Logic Inc. I have never heard of Mesa Logic, but this is, 1998. Developed by Mesa Logic Inc. I've never heard of these guys. Very interesting. So we've got over here as well, this is a really gorgeous sit-down cabinet. So this is relatively recent. This is Sega Rally 3. And this was developed by the very short-lived Sega Racing Studio that was based in the UK. They were later sold to Codemasters, and I believe they are the primary, that looks really profane. They're part of the Codemasters. They're the main racing studio for Codemasters now. So this looks PS2-y under the hood. I'd have to give this a try later, but it's an actual sit-down cab. So you see, it's got a seat. Actually treats like a car seat. Unfortunately, it's actually all the way back, which means I ain't gonna fit in this thing. This is not made for people over 6 foot. So they've got 2 of them here. Pretty rad. So we've got some more older tables again over here. Here's another golden oldie. This is Foursquare, again by Gottlieb. Table's got some swinning in it, but it's pretty good. Oh man, people from Ottawa are going to remember that place. That hasn't been around in a long time. Man, wow. There's a couple older ones here. Another Valley manufacturing, Chicago, Illinois. This is one I haven't seen before. This is a Valley one called Spectrum. I'm not familiar with this one. Very interesting. Got a couple of older ones over here. There's actually 2 roller games machines here this year, which is pretty cool. This one's not in as good shape as the other one, but it's still pretty good. Scoreboard has some LEDs that are out. Oh yeah, you know this had to exist at one point. I want to say there were multiple different Playboy machines. I want to say there was a newer one later on. This one's a little weathered too, as you can see. And then there's Fireball 2 over here. I have seen Fireball before as well. This guy also definitely well worn, but still working. Had most of its lights upgraded to LEDs, which is nice. Yes, thank you, phone. I know I'm using more data than usual. Another baseball theme machine. Give me one moment here, guys, real quick. Okay. I'm using a fair amount of data here, but I've still got enough to get me through till the end of this tour. Old school Doctor Who machine.
Still up, though. I got it.
We've also got a midway machine here called Beat the Clock, which looks like it's racing, like extreme sports themed, I guess. It shows race cars, but also like running athletes. That's kind of interesting. So people are playing at some of these, so I don't want to intrude on them. So that's why some of them I'm filming from a little further back, because I'm not gonna get in people's faces. Obviously, I would not approve of that, so I'm not gonna do that to other people either. Adam's Family is considered another really good pinball machine. This is also in the Pinball Arcade. They actually ran, so for some of the more expensive branded machines, Farsight actually ran Kickstarters to help fund getting the licenses for them. This was one of them, I believe. Now this one, I hope my buddy LDSO is watching, because he's going to appreciate this one. So this is another somewhat more recent Stern machine based on Tron. Shout out to LDSO. I hope he's watching, because this will be making him drool, I have no doubt. Really cool modern machine. Maybe not as Tron neon as some people would like, but I think it's pretty rad. Another modern Stern system. It's probably not coming through on the camera, but it's got like a weird, like multi-layered 3D effect going on here with the back glass. You guys probably can't see that. But, and as you can see, proudly made in the USA. Oh, there it goes, it's lit up. I hope he's watching this. If not, I'll have to point him to this part of the VoD. Pretty swank. Now, over here, we got some real weird ones here. Check this out. This is from 1984. This is not as old as you might think. And yeah, Mechatronic Games, Inc. Check this out. Fire escape, right? This kind of almost looks like pachinko or a plinko machine. But look at the way it's controlled. Fully mechanical. So your goal is basically to use these adjustment things, this doesn't seem to do anything, to control the ball. And yeah, your rank goes from arsonist to fire chief. I don't think that's how you progress through the fire department, but what do I know? I have to give this a try later. This machine actually smells kind of funny, which is rather amusing. So we got some other ones over here. This is Buck Rogers, another older one, another older Gottlieb one. The back glass on this has clearly been exposed to heat a little bit too much. You can see it's all split and cracked. Gee, I wonder what inspired that. Couldn't tell you. Playfield's in good shape, though. Another old school Gottlieb table. So here's Orbiter 1. Cabmax playing this at the moment. This is old school Stern. And here's an interesting one. Stern Seeburg. So anyone who knows what Seeburg is, so Seeburg was a jukebox manufacturer. And yeah, Stern was published with, or Stern worked with them for some of their older titles. But you know what's rad about this? I doubt this is coming through. This thing has a crazy awesome 3D effect. So this playfield is not flat. It's got like dips and curves in it, kind of like the moon's surface would be. But there's a really awesome, like there's layers to this, like there's actual changes in elevation and whatnot, and you can see on this, you can probably see on the edge here, it's like a big bowl. Really fascinating, different idea for a pinball table. It's it's very hard to see on camera, I think, how this comes across, but it's really kind of trippy to watch. Also, these bumpers here are partially magnetized. So you see how she gets the balls up to them and they're kind of hanging on. Really weird. And here's another one. This is from Chicago Coin. This is another real old school game called Sky Battle. I don't actually know. This is dark in here. I don't actually know how this works. Oh, welcome back, sir. I don't actually know. So it's got like this thing. Ah, fair enough. Fair enough, buddy. There will obviously be a VoD of this as well, so you guys will be able to watch anything that you missed. And I'm probably going to do... Normally I do a video tour for YouTube. I'll probably still do that at some point, like a more edited thing. So I'm not actually sure how this works. I don't see how to start it. Yeah, I'm not sure how you feed money into it, but... So we've got another really nicely restored older Bally table here. This is World Tour. Or no, wait, this is Alvin G and Company. Actually, I don't know who this is. Al's Garage Band goes on a world tour. Copyright 1992, Alvin G and Company. I've never heard of this. Really nicely done though, and it's got some neat mechanics to it. The coolest machines were ones like this that had these really unique things in them, right? Like this has this spinner, it has this guitar thing. You know, some of my more fun tables like Whirlwind had like a fan in them. Like they had all these really weird and different concepts. Really neat idea. And this is called the Machine Bride of Pinbots. This is actually a modern Pinbot machine. So Bride of Pinbot was the second Pinbot table. This is a spin-off of that. This guy I'm going to have to try to play later. I've never touched this, but as you can see, this has an actual full animated screen. Pretty incredible. This has a Williams badge on it, so I'm guessing this was probably one of the last machines Williams ever produced before they exited the pinball business.
When you go up here, it says something about video mode.
Select profile.
Fun fact: Williams' principal business now is slot machines. That's what they pivoted into. They got out of the pinball business because they were losing money at it, and now they make gambling machines. So yeah, so this is Tales from the Crypt, another machine from Data East, short-lived time in the pinball business. This is from, this would be from the mid-90s. I'm really curious. I'm going to have to look up this World Tour one. I have never heard of Alvin G and Company. It looks like sort of a one-off thing. Here's another really old one from Williams called Teacher's Pet. Old school mechanical one again. And here's a weird one. This is from Taito, i.e. the Space Invaders people. Cold beer. I don't even know. I really don't. Oh, wait, what? Oh, God. Oh, God. Okay, watch this. I don't even know. Okay, okay, so it drops the ball there, and then it takes you up, and your goal, you have to do this. It's like skee ball, kind of, like vertical skee ball. This is just about the weirdest thing I've ever seen. Is it? Well, now you know where Tumbleseed stole their idea from, an ancient 70s arcade game by Taito. I don't even know how to get the ball into the thing here. Oh! Wait, you move both ends of the thing. So there's two joysticks. I can't really use this here. But you move both ends, you move both sticks to move both ends of this bar up. This is the weirdest freaking thing, guys. Yeah, so look, so you move up with the right side with that, and then move up the left side with that, and your goal is to get the ball up as high as you can to get it into the 10 score. This is freaking weird, man. Okay, I gotta get moving on here because I'm burning through data and I have more to show you. Yeah, that's freaking strange, man. I don't even know. I'm not sure what this is. This is actually branded for the show. It looks like it's it's just a candy dispenser, which is kind of neat. So yeah, some other older ones over here. $6 Million Man is here. The one thing that I'm a little bummed about is that I don't see it, and they were here in previous years, but I don't see either Whirlwind or Funhouse here, which are two of my favorite. Whirlwind and Funhouse are in my top 5 as well. They're both Williams machines from the 90s. Great fun. They used to both be here, and unfortunately they aren't now. I guess they were either sold or the owner is not bringing them anymore. Kind of a bummer, because they're both really excellent. This is another Stellar Wars. I think we showed this before. However, this is called Nip It, which I don't even know. What is this about? Couldn't tell ya. $5 baller. Don't think that's nope. This is also another. This is high score pool over here. You have to like light up these things really weird. And of course, though, another one I'm going to be spending a lot of time at. If not my #1 pinball table of all time, damn well up there. Star Trek Next Generation Pinball. Another Williams joint. This thing is pure gold. I absolutely love this machine. Has the interesting like phaser launch thing. Just letting a gentleman take a picture there. This thing is just Yeah, it's in great shape. Oh, remember when Paramount made good things? Remember before they let J.J. Abrams get his hand on Star Trek and turn it into another dumb action franchise? Yeah. Oh, yeah, go ahead. Yeah, this machine's gorgeous. I'll definitely be putting some time on this weekend. Another old school one, mini pool. A lot of pinball tables based on the theme of pool. This is Sea Witch, another old school stern joint. A Williams one called Heat Wave. Look at that. People talk about the angry sun from the Mario games. Look at that angry sun. He just looks spiteful, I think. And yeah, you're raising this heat meter. Frigid, cool, warm, hot, and torrid, which is not something I generally see used in our manner. That sun doesn't look angry, he just looks douchey. So we're coming up on the end here. So there is a row behind me that I'll try to show from a distance. There's actually, so they actually do a tournament here every year. These machines do become open to the public typically when the tournament is done. But when it's in progress, you can't go, you got to stay back. So I'll show those to you guys a little bit before we wrap this up. So this is Premier, again, which is the company that bought Gottlieb and ran them for a few years. This is Black Pyramid, which is not turned on presently. Valley Skateball, another late 70s, I'd say, based on the look of it. It's been restored with LEDs, so it looks much more modern. Very, very nice. So yeah, this is the tournament here. I don't know if anybody can just enter it or if you had to do it early. So Old Town. Okay, see front desk for free registration. I might do that, even though I love pinball. But my relationship with pinball is much like my relationship with shmups, which is that I love it and I'm terrible at it. So I don't think I get very far, but I might do that. But you can see here. Can I zoom on this? Sadly, I cannot. So okay. I'm familiar with a few of these. So it's a mix of old ones and new ones. Kind of interesting. You know what I mean? But yeah, so I might actually try to register for this thing. I mean, what the hell, right? You never know. Maybe I could get somewhere. I don't know. No, she's probably right. But hey, I got all weekend, right? So, but yeah. So there we go, guys. So I've sort of given you guys a rundown here. This is the my little attempt at live streaming a tour of the Ottawa Gatineau Pinball and Game Room show. I'm very, very happy that the show is back. I couldn't be happier that it's back in town. It looked like it was not going to be after they lost their venue last year, but they brought it back and it's better than ever. You know, it's a couple of tables I wish were here. I wish we had some more Williams stuff. I wish I had I wish we had a Whirlwind. I wish we had a Funhouse. But there's an incredible selection of stuff here. I will be living here for today and tomorrow, pretty much. I could play pinball and pretty much until my hands were numb, and then I'd start playing with my feet. That's how much I freaking love pinball. So, yeah, this is going to be a great day, but I've ignored my friends long enough, so I should probably go socialize with real people. Ugh, I know, right? And actually start playing some freaking pinball. So I'm really looking forward to that, but I hope you guys enjoyed this. Thanks for dropping in, for tuning in and watching. Hope you guys enjoyed this. I'll probably put this VoD up on YouTube, and I might do, like I've done in previous years, I might do an actual tour with the camera, with just my camera on my phone that I'll edit together. Maybe a more tightly constrained thing. We'll see. But yeah, this is a great event. I'm glad it's back. We actually have 2 permanent pinball venues in town as well. We have House of Targ, which is a concert venue in the Glebe that actually has a huge pinball museum. They're a big sponsor of this show. A lot of these tables are from there. We also have something called the Ottawa Pinball Museum, which is actually a pinball room in the back of a smaller bar and music venue not too far from here, actually, called Baseline Station. I have not been to either yet. Targ has been open in this city for like 5 years, and I haven't been there yet because I'm an idiot. So I'm going to go there some weekend, I think. And maybe I'll do another tour of that, and I'll do a tour of the Pinball Museum as well, though a lot of these same machines will probably be there too. But yeah, if this stuff looks interesting to you, what I would highly recommend is go pick up the Pinball Arcade and Zaccaria Pinball. They're both on Steam, and Pinball Arcade is on like every device you can possibly imagine. Each of them has a couple of free tables. The majority of them you have to pay for, and in the case of Pinball Arcade, because of the licenses, they're often very expensive. But if you're into pinball, it's well worth it. And a lot of the tables I've shown here today are reproduced in those collections, and they are exquisitely done. Farsight Studios, they know pinball, and they make some really good stuff. They make some real quality. And there's a Wild Cat Mac appears again. So yeah, but I'm gonna go play some pinball and stop being antisocial. So thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you had fun, and I'll be streaming again next week at some point. So thanks for watching, everybody. And where am I? There we are. Thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you next time.